Greetings to the Board of Governors. I'd like to thank you for not having me travel all the way to Trago. I understand it's scenic and beautiful, but instead of being there, I am in my courtroom doing cases. And I know President Pat Fiedler, you understand that. And I want to, on behalf of the Diversity Task Force, thank you for the opportunity to work on this very important issue. So my thanks are to President Fiedler, immediate past President Kevin Klein, and the President-elect Bob Kagan, and George Brown, the Executive Director, and to the Board of Governors, for the opportunity for us to look at the issue of diversity in the state of Wisconsin as it relates to the legal system. We are looking forward to the opportunity to promote and further diversity in the state. We will provide practical and meaningful recommendations to enhance diversity. That's the goal of this committee. We're not really interested in providing more information to be put on the shelf, get dusty, but encourage the people in this state to make genuine efforts to increase diversity. And there's been precedent for the State Bar doing that for years. And this opportunity to examine that, I think, is timely and appropriate. We are certainly not the only state that are taking a better and more appropriate look at diversity and how it can be increased. Part of our challenge in this committee is to gather insight from various components of our legal system. And within a short time frame, we will focus our efforts on the specific charge before us. And although I know you have it in your paperwork, I think it's meaningful, and I know our committee looks at this charge every time we meet. And the committee's charge is as follows. The charge of the Diversity Task Force is to determine the role of the bar in promoting and furthering diversity within the law schools, the profession, and the state bar by identifying an approach to diversity that will serve the Wisconsin legal profession. This includes creating the state bar's definition of diversity, a future committee structure, organization-wide diversity initiatives, as well as a future of the diversity clerkship program and diversity-based CLE programs. In addition, the task force will develop an action plan for the implementation of identified changes to create leadership opportunities for diverse lawyers within Wisconsin and the legal profession, and articulate how diversity should inform, shape, and influence the work of the State Bar across the organization. We take this charge very seriously, and the committee members are committed to making sure we do the best work we can to provide the State Bar the best recommendations to fulfill these goals. You should note that in 2002, upon the request of the Diversity Outreach Committee, the State Bar of Wisconsin approved and adopted the following declaration. The State Bar of Wisconsin is an inclusive organization committed to recognizing, respecting, promoting, and encouraging diversity among its leadership, its membership, and the entire legal community. We encourage all local and specialty bars to promote diversity and inclusion in their membership and leadership. We encourage legal employers and law firms to promote diversity and inclusion within their workplace to mirror the world in which we practice. That's a pretty big deal. And our committee uses that as another foundation for what we're going to undertake. And I'd like to speak to three areas for the committee's benefit, the Board of Governors' benefit. And the first would be committee members, our timeline, and what we've done so far. The Diversity Task Force consists of 13 volunteer members. And before I outline that list, and you should have that in your materials, I want to say that we felt strongly, and I know the bar does as well, that in this endeavor it was extremely important to have the involvements of both the Marquette and Madison Law Schools. And in furtherance of that, I spoke directly to Dean Kearney from Marquette and Dean Raymond from Madison, and both of them are committed to this effort. And in doing so, they have followed up with appointing 2 representatives on this 13 volunteer member committee. And the members are as follows, and a lot of them you'll know: Attorney Michelle Binky, Attorney Andrew Chevres, Attorney Kathleen Shung, Professor Veda Lindsay from Marquette, Attorney Bruce Lindell, Attorney Maureen McGinnity, Attorney Corey Nettles, Attorney Carlos Ortiz, Assistant Dean Rebecca Scheller from Madison's Law School, Attorney Joe Swamp, Attorney Starlyn Torolot, and Attorney Gregory Wesley. I am extremely pleased to have this wonderful group of committee members. And as you will know, a number of them have long-standing commitment to the State Bar. Some of them are a little newer, but every one of them are committed to making sure that we make the best recommendations we can. And I have to admit, being in the room with them is exciting and scary. But I think ultimately it's going to result in wonderful recommendations, well thought out. I want to also say we are extremely pleased to have Sonabai Kanhai as our staff representative. She has been outstanding and will play a crucial role in the success of this committee. As far as our timeline, our committee is to complete its work by, hopefully, we'll have final recommendations, so it might be in the budget, early April, maybe even late March. But we plan to have preliminary recommendations in January. As far as our meeting schedule, and you should have that in front of you as well, our initial meeting took place on July 8th at the State Bar office. It was attended by virtually all our members, either in phone, but most were in person. One member got caught out on the West Coast because of the problems with a flight being canceled, but otherwise it was full attendance. We subsequently met on August 20th for our second meeting. And at our first meeting, we established a subcommittee for listening sessions. And that committee has met 3 times and will be meeting Thursday now. That's the 12th, and this is recorded on the 11th of September, so getting that time right. And we have a series of meetings scheduled out for the rest of the term of the committee. So it'll be October 15th, that'll be in Madison, December 16th in Madison, January 22nd in Milwaukee, March 10th in Madison, and May 7th in Milwaukee. And as I indicated, the listening session subcommittee has already met July 16th, July 30th, August 7th, and then we'll be meeting tomorrow, September 12th. And one of the crucial issues for us is how do we inform ourselves, get information from the various areas in the state on this very important issue. And so we looked at 3 topics. We thought about listening sessions, an opportunity, and I think that's probably the best one, where you can actually sit down and communicate and interact with a group. And we also thought about surveys. They're a little scary, but necessary, we think. And so at this point, what we're going to do is listening sessions, and we're doing surveys. And we're pretty specific on the surveys. I'll talk about that a little bit later. As far as listening sessions, we have concentrated, because of the time limit, on the affinity groups. And I have contacted by letter and spoken to the leadership of the affinity groups. And that is the Wisconsin Association of African American Lawyers, Wisconsin Asian Bar Association, the Wisconsin Hispanic Lawyers Association, the Association of Lawyers for Brown County, the Association of Women Lawyers, the Legal Association for Women, and the Indian Law Section. Now, we don't want to say that this is inclusive of everybody that we should talk to, but as a start, this is where we're going. We've made contacts. We've set up some tentative dates for those listening sessions to take place. We're going to try to get a core group of the committee at all of those listening sessions. We think they're extraordinarily important, and that's a work in progress. Back to the issue of surveys and the listening session questions, because we want to be open at the listening sessions, but we also have some structure. So there's some consistency between the listening sessions on some of the questions we ask so they can be compared reasonably well. So we don't want to disregard the spontaneity of those listening sessions, but we also want some structure so there can be some consistency as we review what we've heard. And with those listening sessions and questions for surveys, we've been looking at certain subgroups. And one is the State Bar and its leadership, affinity groups, which I've already mentioned, law school faculty and students, and employers. We've spent a great deal of time trying to put together appropriate types of questions, and that was not easy. We're sort of in the rough draft, but beyond rough draft, because we've spent some time on this. And we're going to rely on the State Bar staff to assist us in trying to fine-tune that, because there's always the issue of if you have open-end questions, you can't aggregate as well as far as getting information. So we're trying to balance that, and there is a faction in the committee who would like to get more open-ended, more practical recommendations and discussions, and others who want some type of aggregate information. I think we're going to get a little bit of both, which is probably the best thing. As I indicated, we're scheduled to meet with the State Bar staff to help us frame and coordinate these questions. And by the time this recording is played, we should have done that already. We also should have before you an article to be published in the Inside Track and hopefully in the section newsletters. So in summary, we're just getting started, and we hope to receive input and direction from the bar as we proceed so that our recommendations are consistent with our charge, but also challenge us to create a more diverse legal system. And I really don't, one of the things that we've talked about in our meetings, so the Board of Governors is clear, as we go along, we don't want to surprise you at the end with our recommendations. By the time we give our ultimate recommendations, we hope that you are fully informed as to how we got there and have a sense of where we're going, so that we can utilize any input you have so that we don't surprise you in the end. We want it to be something that you are invested in and support because we follow through on your instructions and our charge. In closing, I want to thank you again for allowing me to appear recorded. And please feel free to contact me or any members of our committee regarding concerns or input. Again, thank you for the opportunity for this committee to address this most important issue. Thank you.